In roughly 550 BC, a Jewish exile living in Babylon had a dream. In that dream, he saw 4 terrifying beasts rise from the sea, one after another. Each beast ruled the world. Each was eventually replaced by the next. The 4th was the most terrible of all, crushing everything in its path with iron teeth. And that 4th beast was eventually destroyed by a divine court, its power taken away, its dominion ended. The man's name was Daniel, and the 4 beasts he described correspond, with remarkable historical precision, to 4 world empires that rose and fell over the following 5 centuries, empires that Daniel had not yet seen. Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome. In that order, in those characteristics, named, described, identified, centuries before, 3 of them existed in the form Daniel described. Daniel 7 is one of the most extraordinary chapters in the entire Bible. It's also one of the most neglected, long, strange, full of imagery that most people find intimidating and most preachers don't know how to handle. Today we're going to walk through it together, carefully, beast by beast, verse by verse. Daniel 7 is the hinge point of the entire book of Daniel. The book divides roughly in half. The first 6 chapters are narrative, the stories of Daniel and his friends in Babylon, the fiery furnace, the lion's den, Belshazzar's feast, the writing on the wall. These are the chapters most people know. The second 6 chapters are visions, Daniel's own prophetic experiences, increasingly complex and cosmic in their scope. Chapter 7 opens that prophetic section, and it sets the framework for everything that follows. It's also connected to Daniel 2, the earlier vision of Nebuchadnezzar's statue, made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay, which Daniel interpreted as representing 4 successive world empires. Daniel 7 covers the same sequence of empires, but from a completely different perspective. In Chapter 2, the empires are seen from a human perspective. They are a magnificent statue, made of precious metals, impressive and imposing. In Chapter 7, they are seen from God's perspective. They are beasts, dangerous, uncontrollable, temporary. What humanity sees as glory, God sees as animal chaos. That shift in perspective is itself one of the chapter's most important theological points. The first was like a lion, and it had the wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground so that it stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human was given to it. Daniel chapter 7:4. The lion and the eagle were the 2 most iconic symbols of Babylonian power. If you visit the British Museum today, you can see the winged lion statues that once guarded the gates of Babylon and Nineveh, enormous muscular creatures with human faces, wings spread, utterly dominating. Daniel is not inventing these symbols. He is drawing from the visual vocabulary of the empire he is living in. The transformation described, wings torn off, lifted to stand like a human, given a human mind, is widely interpreted as referring to Nebuchadnezzar's humiliation in Daniel 4. The king, at the height of his power, is struck with madness and lives as an animal for 7 years. Then his sanity returns. He stands up like a man again. His kingdom is restored. The beast that had the wings of an eagle, the most aggressive soaring power of the ancient world, was brought low, made to stand like a person, given a human mind, not destroyed, chastened. Identification, Babylon. Confidence, essentially universal among scholars. And there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear. It was raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. It was told, "Get up and eat your fill of flesh." Daniel 7, verse 5. The bear is not the most magnificent animal. It is heavy, powerful, persistent rather than swift. Where the winged lion soared, the bear lumbers. But its strength is enormous, and its appetite is insatiable. The tilted posture, raised on one side, suggests imbalance. The Medo-Persian Empire was theoretically a dual empire, but Persia was clearly dominant. It was lopsided from the beginning. The three ribs in the bear's mouth are the three major conquests of the Persian Empire. Lydia, under Croesus, conquered 547 BC. Babylon, conquered 539 BC. And Egypt, conquered 525 BC. Three great powers devoured. The command, "Get up and eat your fill of flesh," captures the expansionist appetite of Persia under Cyrus, Cambyses, Darius, and Xerxes. Their empire at its height stretched from India to Libya, the largest empire the world had ever seen. But size was its limitation. The Persian Empire was vast, unwieldy, and eventually unable to hold itself together against a force of completely different character. Identification: Medo-Persia. Confidence: very high among scholars of all perspectives. After that, I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings like those of a bird. This beast had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. Daniel, chapter 7, verse 6. The leopard is already the fastest land predator in the natural world. Giving it 4 wings, 2 of a bird, are not enough. Doubles that. Speed beyond speed. Alexander the Great's campaigns were genuinely unprecedented in the speed of their execution. He left Macedonia in 334 BC. By 323 BC, 11 years later, he had conquered Persia, Egypt, and everything east to the border of India. His army covered more ground in a decade than most armies covered in a lifetime. Ancient sources describe his commanders struggling to keep up, his logistics straining to supply an army moving faster than supply lines could follow. The 4 heads. When Alexander died suddenly in Babylon in 323 BC, at age 32, his empire immediately began fragmenting. After years of brutal warfare among his generals, it settled into 4 main successor kingdoms. Ptolemy took Egypt and eventually Palestine. Cassander took Macedonia and Greece. Lysimachus took Thrace and Western Asia Minor. Seleucus took Syria, Mesopotamia, and Persia. 4 heads. The empire that moved as one body under one will split into 4 after the death of the one who animated it. This split, incidentally, set up the entire 400 silent years between the Testaments, Israel caught between Ptolemies to the south and Seleucids to the north, eventually triggering the Maccabean revolt we've covered in other videos. Identification: Greece under Alexander. Confidence, essentially universal. After that, in my vision at night I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns, Daniel 7, verse 7. Notice something significant. Daniel cannot name a natural animal for this beast. The lion, the bear, the leopard, these are animals. The 4th beast is simply beyond categorization. Terrifying, frightening, very powerful. No analogy, just dread. The iron teeth connect directly to Daniel 2, where the 4th empire is the iron legs of the statue, crushing, breaking, shattering. Rome's military machine was exactly this: systematic, overwhelming, utterly crushing to any resistance. Where previous empires often allowed defeated peoples to maintain local customs and semi-autonomy, Rome was more thorough. It did not just conquer, it reorganized, absorbed, restructured. What it did not absorb, it destroyed. The Jewish War from 66 AD to 70 AD, culminating in the destruction of Jerusalem and the Temple, is the image the original Jewish readers of Daniel would have in mind, Rome trampling underfoot whatever was left. The 10 horns and the little horn that rises among them are the most contested part of the vision, the point where serious, faithful interpreters diverge significantly. The angel's interpretation says the 10 horns are 10 kings from this fourth kingdom. Among them rises another king, the little horn, who subdues 3 of the 10, speaks boastfully against God, persecutes the saints, and attempts to change the sacred times and laws. Historicist interpreters see this fulfilled in the succession of Roman emperors, and eventually in various post-Roman powers. Futurist interpreters see the 10 horns as a yet future confederation of powers arising from the territory of the old Roman Empire, with the little horn as a still future figure, often identified with the Antichrist of Revelation. Preterist interpreters see the little horn as Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the Seleucid king who desecrated the temple, which would place chapter 7's fulfillment in the Maccabean period. Each position has serious scholars behind it. Each is honestly grappling with the text. The debate is not between careful readers and careless ones. It's between careful readers who weigh the evidence differently. While the beasts are raging on earth, Daniel's vision shifts to heaven. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow. The hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and its wheels were all ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Daniel 7, verses 9 to 10. The Ancient of Days. This title appears nowhere else in the Old Testament. It is unique to Daniel 7, used 3 times in this chapter. It conveys antiquity beyond antiquity. God is older than history. God is older than the empires that seem to run the world. They are temporary. He is not. The court is seated. The books are opened. This is the ultimate legal proceeding, not a battle, but a judgment. The empires are not defeated in combat. They are judged. The fourth beast is killed. Its body is destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. The other beasts lose their authority, though their lives are prolonged for a season. And then, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led. If this kind of deep walk through the prophetic books is the content you want more of, subscribe to Bible Radar. God bless.